Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RK Football Podcast. I'm Carl Dixon, joined by David Newman, Matt Thowney, and Stuart Irvine. We're going to start with the very, very sad news that broke in the last 7 days that Liverpool and Portugal forward Diogo Jota sadly was involved in a car accident and passed away. Um, I mean, there's a lot to be said about the suddenness of it, and there's a lot to be said about the sad nature of it. But I think we should start with you, Stu. As a Liverpool fan, you celebrated 80, 90% of his goals over the last 4 or 5 years. Anything that wasn't for Portugal, I guess. Where were you when you heard about it? How did you feel? A bit out of nowhere, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was just obviously back home, obviously not, but just like checking, we're watching the news. Obviously, then obviously breaking news came on, and you were expecting it to be like something else that not what you were expecting. We got, and obviously, just when they mentioned that Jota's died in a car accident, I was in total shock. Guessing most of us were. I got to be honest, because obviously, yes, like it has been a situation where like a player that's like at his prime has died as suddenly as this. I mean, we've had players that were like, retired and then they die suddenly, or players that we kind of don't know. But like, yeah, this is just he was like what 28. He was is that his prime, and to be cut short so quickly, it was just I think a lot of us were like, was it Klopp said, I think heartbroken and just in shock. To be honest, it's just yeah.
And let's not forget to mention as well that of course his younger brother was in the car as well. They both passed away, so yeah, huge shock. It was fairly early in the morning when it was announced, wasn't it? It was sort of, and just to kind of see that first thing, it's like, whoa, that's a significant kind of blow to everyone, really. It was a really shocking piece of news, that.
It's incredible how someone and a family, I suppose, can go from such a monumental height. He's had an amazing season, of course, won the Premier League with Liverpool, went on to win the Nations League with Portugal this summer. A few days later, married his now wife, and a week we've got 3 kids, and a week or so after the wedding, week and a half after the wedding, no longer with us. Sometimes the sport doesn't matter as much, I think.
It's like Liverpool, obviously they've terminated his contract now, haven't they? Which means they're getting, I think, like 21 million across a load of instalments to the family, and I think that's like that's going to sort them out for life. But obviously, it's just so unfortunate.
It pales in comparison to
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. But it's like when you just sit there and think they had everything, and like literally everything at that point, and then it's all just being taken away from them, just like that.
What the club have done is a little thing that they don't have to do, and I'll be honest, I'd be surprised if majority of football clubs would do because of the business nature of it. So absolute credit to Liverpool for that, because that is important. In terms of his, obviously we'll talk about him as a player, but there was more in a way. He was actually a massive FIFA player, as in a gamer, and it was a streamer as well. I don't know if you guys have heard some of these stories that people would be playing him on Ultimate Team the night before a big game and telling him go to bed, because you knew who it was, and you could tell from the team that he had, and he had special cards and all this sort of stuff. So very much at 28 years of age, a player of a man of the generation, I suppose, and did a lot of things that we have all done. But as a player, I think he will be remembered for what has sadly happened. I get that. But as a player, I think he'll be remembered as being quite underrated in a way. I think Liverpool have constantly talked about they want this new striker to bang in 25 goals. And Jota's just been there going about his business, getting important goals in title run-ins and Champions League. And he's certainly a big game player. And just one of these players, I think, particularly under Klopp, that just Klopp trusted him so much. Because I think some clubs I'm thinking 2.5 years ago, when maybe Jota wasn't first choice, hadn't made himself first choice, and there was room. Nunes came in, all that sort of stuff. I think some managers may have let Jota go, but he ended up staying and got really important goals this year, Stu.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, yeah, sorry. 100%. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the last 2 goals I was thinking of this season at least is obviously that headed goal equalised against Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. A guy that's like 5'10" or something like, to be able to jump up that high and get a header like that is absolutely just shows what kind of major player he was. And obviously the win against Everton in the Merseyside derby at Anfield, where the way he got was his footwork and getting past 2 players, and then the way he finished that. Yeah, I mean, that's his obviously last goal for the club, obviously. But yeah, I mean, when I was thinking of like moments, I was thinking of the 2 goals he scored that League Cup semi-final against Arsenal a couple of years ago. I mean, I think it's like everyone was kind of expecting, was it Mo Salah when he was going away for Africa Cup of Nations to be like, well, who's going to bang in the goals? And Jota was like, oh, I'll take it up. And then basically like he's, yeah, great. Was it clinical finisher? You never have to worry about him not putting, stuff away. But yeah, it's hard to really describe for the words how much it's horrible. But yeah, as a player, he was, I would agree that was underrated, definitely.
Go on.
I actually would go as far as to say that with Diogo Jota, that he was one of those players that the perfect squad player. He was the perfect squad player. He never moaned about being on the bench all the time, and he always done the job when called upon. He done it in the big games, and I mean, like the trophy speak for themselves. He was a quality player, and I think no matter where he ended up, if he ever left Liverpool after that, he was always going to be a good player for that team again. Yeah, perfect squad player.
He always produced and he always delivered when the time came. Like you say, I totally agree with that. Yeah, perfect squad player is the best way to. Yeah.
Just to run through some of his accomplishments, even at just the age of 28. For Liverpool, obviously, Premier League title this season, won the FA Cup in 2022, twice won the EFL Cup, the League Cup, whatever sponsor you want to call it, 2022 and 2024, was a runner-up, obviously, this season, or the season just gone, if you want to be pedantic with it. Runner-up in the Champions League as well, won 2 Nations Leagues as well. I think I would argue that, well, we said at the start that it feels like the first player in his prime to have this happen. I'd argue he's probably the most successful player at this stage to have it happen as well. I mean, you could talk about Mwamba, who had obviously heart issues and thankfully didn't pass away, but had those real scares. But this was a player at the top. Eriksen's a very good example, but Eriksen was sort of on the tail end of his career in a way. This is a player at the top of the game, one of the top players. And it really will shake the foundations for a lot. I think we should also mention it's not just at Liverpool where he'll be remembered. Obviously, he came through in Portugal for Paços de Ferreira. Came into a spotlight at Atletico Madrid thanks to a loan at Porto, but then he went to Wolves, and I think Wolves is where I think people don't quite talk about. I haven't seen people talking about so much that championship season he had on loan at Wolves before he signed officially, where he smashed in the goals, and Wolves were the best team in the division by a country mile. They had Ruben Neves and a number of the Connor Cody was captain, and Jota was banging in the goals. I remember him scoring against United in a League Cup game or an FA Cup game. That was his big sort of like, whoa, who's this guy? It felt like he was going to be something pretty special after that. I don't think people talk about his Wolves time as much as the Liverpool, and I get it, but he was super successful for them as well.
Yeah, no.
Kudos to him. I hope it doesn't get lost through time that normally when this kind of happens to players, especially big profile players, and it doesn't happen a lot, but quite often the death and the tragedy of it all can sort of through the years kind of overshadow how good they were as a player. So I hope that kind of the quality that he did have, I hope that doesn't get kind of forgotten, because he was such a great player to watch. I was always a huge fan of his. And he just constantly, I think he was just only in the last sort of 12 months or so starting to be considered a really, like one of those really proper, this guy is actually really underrated. He's really good. He was just on the rise quality wise, wasn't he? And yeah, like I said earlier, like always impactful when he was called upon. And just what a massive shock.
I mean, I don't think now is the time to go into this bit too much, but I should say, I think this is going to have a real profound impact on Liverpool's season. I think it's going to be a lot for the players to even get their head around before attempting pre-season and the challenges that lay ahead. It may inspire them, it may not. So it's definitely going to be interesting.
I think it's down to Arne Slot to really come to really round them up and gather them together and say, hey, look, we can do that. We can go again. I mean, it's tragic what happened, but look, I really think it'll be down to Arne Slot and how he treats them or how he treats.
He's one of those players. He's going to be so hard to replace.
Yeah.
Like if they have to bring someone in,
it's the personality that's going to be hard to replace. I think in that dressing room. That's what I mean.
Exactly. Like someone, like I said, the squad player, someone who's going to be willing to, right, Salah's going to be starting ahead of you. You're going to have to sit back sort of thing and just like kind of let that happen. He was willing to. Our other players can be as willing. There is going to be, they're a team. They have to be a team and you have to work together. So fingers crossed for them. But
it's going to feel like a hole in the dressing room for a while. Absolutely. If you read some of the tributes, it definitely comes across that he was loved in that dressing room. He was one of that key core, and the sense of humour, the loyalty, the general reliability, not just as a player, but in that dressing room as someone to lean on, has definitely come across in the tributes.
Even Pedro Neto left the Club World Cup. I think he left at half time just to go to the funeral. He in there like a flash. But no, thoughts to the family and everything, especially the kids and the wife. Like, good Lord. So yeah.
Well, it was very sad news that seemed to rock the world, and we're going to go from sad news to equally tragic in a way, for not for the player obviously, but for victims, etc. Obviously, Thomas Partey. It's now been revealed that he is being charged with, I believe, 7 counts of rape. We've said on this podcast before, and we've sort of hinted about the fact that he doesn't play in Spain. Arsenal wouldn't play him in Spain when obviously he was having his time at Arsenal. And I'd sort of said before that he'd had some legal troubles there and that there was a reason behind it. And obviously this has come out in England. I don't think we need to go into how horrific it is. I think it speaks for itself. But from a football club's point of view, I think serious questions need to be asked about Arsenal here, because it's not a coincidence that his contract has run out this summer and then needs to come out. As I say, I mean, Arsenal have clearly protected him, and whether they felt it was claims that there was no validity in, whether that's what they'd been told, I don't know. But there is something really disgusting about the way this has been dealt with, and I feel I think because of the news of Jota coming out the day before, I think everyone was super emotional anyway in the football world, but that emotion just turns into pure anger about this, because Arsenal are one of those clubs in English football for me that have always been traditionally always had their traditions. They feel like an old-fashioned, as a club, if that makes sense, Arsenal, one of the staples of English football, and they've smeared it. It feels like it's been smeared by something that's, it's not sporting, it's just on a humane nature to allow this to go on like it has. There have been rumours for 5 years about Thomas Partey at this point.
The thing for me that I think angers me more than anything else is that when I read the article about everything that happened, he was arrested back in 2022. He was arrested back in 2022 and then released. And like, when I just sit there and think, if that happened to me at my work, my employer would have sacked me there and then. I wouldn't have been in the job. Why is it okay at Arsenal?
Well, this is what I'm saying. Clearly, Arsenal would have done an investigation, though, right? They would have done an investigation when he's arrested, and for some reason they feel like that investigation was enough, and they felt they could continue with him. Clearly, that was wrong, though.
But the thing for me that bugs me more is that he continued to play up till obviously the end of his contract and was a key player in that team, of course. When allegations come out against Mason Greenwood, straight away Man United were like, no, you're not playing. You are not playing for this club. Who's the other one? Benjamin Mendy. When it happened to him at Man City, he went nowhere near the first party.
I get it.
Being part of this team, and that's what's
the same thing happened with Dani Alves. I wonder, did it happen with Dani Alves as well?
There have been rumours about other players. I will say, I think we should state at this point, he has been charged. He has not been convicted. So that has to go into it. You mentioned Benjamin Mendy. He wasn't sacked until he was convicted. And so, look, maybe it turns out he won't be convicted for whatever reason, but there has to be question marks at this point. The timing of it is what's confusing for me. Like I say, he was arrested in 2022. Why is he now being charged just as he's been released out of his Arsenal contract? Why was he released out of his Arsenal contract? What did they know? What did they know was coming? It's
and let's be honest, he was a key player. He was a key player for them. So it weren't like he was a player that was slowly coming out of the team or anything. Don't get me wrong, with the signings they've made, yes.
Yeah, but even with the signings they've made, right? They've signed Zubimendi, brilliant signing. I get all that, but Thomas Partey's a great squad player. In theory, in the footballing brain, you put your footballing brain on, you go, he's a squad player. Yeah. So there's a lot of questions, and as we said, they've been rumoured about a similar incident happening in Spain, and there's a reason why he hasn't stepped foot in Spain since. But from what I understand,
he played against Real Madrid, didn't he, in the second leg? That's the only time he's featured in Spain ever since.
Has he? There's a lot of rumours about Partey, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans are out there quite disgusted in their own club at the moment, and the way it's been dealt with. And look, we don't know the in-betweens, we don't know the ins and outs, we don't know what's going to happen with the conviction, so we should say it with caution. But the stuff you hear, the stuff you read, it's been a bit of a dark week for English football in general, to be honest.
It has been. Yeah. Two stories you wouldn't be expecting to be talking about this week. Not at all. Not at all.
No. Anything else you guys want to add on this too before we decide to, actually have a football podcast?
Let's talk about some football.
Yeah, and actually try to enjoy it. Yeah. We're all good.
Hang on a minute. Hey, let's go back to the football.
Right.
Michael Madsen died during the week as well. No one gave a shit.
Who, sorry?
Michael Madsen, actor. No?
He's a football podcast. Right, yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. I like that. The football podcast. It's all right. Oh, God.
Let's Yeah, we got a quick fire something, so we got a lot to talk about from a footballing point of view. I've got my list. Nico Williams signed a 10-year deal at Athletic Bilbao. My favourite part about this story is the comments that go, 10-year deal at Atletico Bilbao. I thought he was great at Liverpool. It's my favourite comment. Surprised Forest have sold him. Do you know what I mean? That's the best comments. Class player. We know he's a class player. I would say don't get sucked in by that. Oh my God, 10 years at Bilbao. It's just added security and added transfer fee for if they do sell him in 12 months' time. Yeah. So
it's like you said last week about the inflated transfer fees and everything. It's like that. A 10-year contract means a humongous release clause on that as well.
It's interesting though, because it's Bilbao, right? So for anyone who doesn't know, Bilbao have a very strict player rulage in their team that only players who have got a Basque heritage can play for Bilbao. That's written into the contract and everything, right? He is probably the most high profile and most talented footballer they could have playing for them right now, right? They could not replace him if they sold him. They just couldn't.
Yeah.
Right? They can get the money in, but they're not going to go and buy another player like him to fit in their team.
Yeah. Would you say it was heritage?
Would you say it was similar to when Gareth Bale was at Spurs? Like they got all the money for him. They was never going to replace him. They were never going to replace him with all that money.
Not really.
No.
Would you not say similar? No.
No, I get your point. You're saying they were unlikely to replace him because no one wants to go to Tottenham if they're that good. I get that, right? But we're actually saying they actually can't replace him. It's not possible.
There's less limitations with that Tottenham one. With the, but we're not talking about just going to get players with Athletic Bilbao. You've literally got to say, well, you're from the Basque region, so it's even harder to find a
Athletic Bilbao could agree a deal with Lionel Messi.
Okay.
They could agree a deal with Lionel Messi in their prime, or go and sign Desiree Doué, right? And they couldn't sign him because he's not Basque. So we can say what you want about the business model, but hey ho. So we mentioned that. Anything else on that?
Doué, actually, Desiree Doué, is he up for grabs? Or has any club made any offers for him? Does anyone know?
Don't think so.
I don't think anyone's made any offers yet for him. No, I think he's been very quiet.
I think he needs another good year. He needs another good year, really. A move that has surprised me this week, Kyle Walker to Burnley.
Yeah,
that's really surprised me.
Do you think? I think it's
another City man after Burnley.
For Burnley, it's a great signing. But I'll be honest, I'm at this point where I'm like, I mean, I didn't get to see much of his games at Milan, so maybe he's completely like, I don't know, legs stop working type of thing. But Kyle Walker surely can get a deal at a better club than relegation threatening Burnley. Surely.
Well, the fact that he didn't suggest that he wasn't able to.
Yeah, he's what, 35?
He's got to be like 33, 34. He's definitely in his 30s, but
35.
35.
He's winding towards the end of his career, and I personally think the reason why I say this is such a good deal for Burnley is because they're grabbing experienced players who know the Premier League inside out, sort of thing, and he is like. You couldn't ask for anyone better.
I'm not debating that it's a great move for Burnley, but for Kyle Walker, I'm just a bit. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, surely there was like even a Celtic. I'd have thought Kyle Walker would be what they'd be looking for. Even like going to like a Palace or something like that as a squad player. But for a team that's not going to spend most of the season looking up, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It took me by surprise. I just thought he was still I mean, without saying horrible, he was playing for Milan for the last 6 months, and that's got to be a better quality of football than playing for Burnley. No offense to Burnley. I'm sure Burnley will be a great addition to the Premier League this season, and then have another fun year in the Championship after. But still. Do you know what I mean?
I wonder if it would be something to do perhaps with the way Burnley play. Like I didn't watch much Burnley at all really when they were in the Championship last season. But I wonder if their defense is really deep, then maybe Kyle Walker doesn't have to rely on his pace as much. I mean, he is getting on in years.
Maybe. I really do believe it's because there wasn't many other offers, and that's what I think I'm quite shocked at. Because for him to go to Burnley, he's taking a severe pay cut because Burnley are not paying him what he was paying at City or even close to it, right? So he's taken a severe pay cut. Surely there were other clubs that would have just fancied a point. Maybe it's me. Maybe that's the type of football manager player I am, and I'm like, I'll take a punt. But but I don't know. It was a surprising one.
It could have maybe it was his wages that put a lot of clubs off, and we'll never know. I don't know how Burnley would be able.
Yeah, but he's not going to go to Burnley, who have just come up from the Championship and be on 120 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? He's going to have taken probably 70 to 80 grand a week pay cut to play for Burnley.
Who's manager of Burnley at the moment? Is it Scott Parker?
Scott Parker. And I think that's what's also baffling me with this. He's like, I can go and play. Like, surely a Milan or maybe Milan when he's back, or a team in Italy or anything like that. And he's going, now, I want to go to Burnley and play for Scott Parker. I can't wrap my head around that one.
Scott Parker and Kyle Walker played in the same England team.
Oh, they've played in the same Spurs team.
Yeah, they have. 2013, I think it was. 2011 to 2013.
Yeah,
just after he won the Player of the Year.
I wonder if there's a friendship there. Then maybe it should be said that obviously Walker's from Sheffield, so maybe he wanted to be in England at least. But I mean, Sheffield to Burnley's not. It's not down the road. Do you know what I mean?
No. I think it's anything to do with the England stuff. Like, because obviously he's back in England squad. Maybe he's thinking he needs to stay in England. Maybe.
Guaranteed.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
know?
If 36-year-old Cole Walker goes to the goes to the World Cup, then we've got serious problems. Do you know what I mean? What's he going to do? Take his walking stick with him? Jesus.
Zimmer
Kyle
frame,
walking stick. Hey, never mind.
We the one signing, obviously, the biggest one from this week so far has got to be Gyokeres.
Yeah, it hasn't gone through yet,
but
yeah, Arsenal closing in on a deal for Viktor Gyokeres. I don't think they've agreed terms with him yet.
No.
I think that's currently the issue. The deal will be around £70 million. Look, we've spoken about Arsenal over the last few weeks. They're doing a lot of deals at the moment, and credit to them for that. And we've said consistently, look, yeah, he's a good player. He's a great player, but they need a striker. And Gyokeres very much could be that guy. 27 years old. I think people think he's younger than that, but he's 27 years old. Has played in England before, of course. Had a very successful spell at Coventry. What do we think?
Wasn't Lacazette roughly the same age when they bought him?
Potentially.
He did all right for them.
Didn't experience that, isn't it? Because obviously,
well, yeah, he didn't play in England before, but yeah, sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
I think that it is a very good signing. It's a statement signing, and that's what they've needed. That's what I think he needed. I would not be surprised if Arteta's walked into the boardroom and said, "We need to make this striker signing. We've got everything else. That's the piece we're missing. We need it." Now they're going all out for it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's walked in there and said, "If this doesn't work, I'll walk." Like then sack me, because they're gonna have to throw everything at this to try and get him in.
Yeah, they think they will as well. They'll get it over the line. I mean, they're just fresh off buying Zubimendi for about 50 million, so and a couple of they're really shelling out this summer and not mucking about.
Yeah.
So I reckon they'll push it over the line, whatever it takes.
I was about to say this. Arsenal are playing for the title. That's what they're doing right now. And you know what? Credit to them, because for years we've said, look, you've got a good spine, you've got a good team, you've got a good manager. You just need something to get you to that next level. And Arsenal are throwing everything at it this year. So credit. The pressure is going to be massive on Arteta. If he doesn't win the league title after all these signings, he's gone. Let's be fair.
100%. Do
you think Gyokeres might be the next sort of De Bruyne? And by that, I don't mean he's going to be the best in the world, but I mean a Premier League flop. We forget that he played for Brighton in the Premier League.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right.
Bit like Chelsea.
Well, I say he played for Brighton in the Premier League. He actually didn't play a single minute in the Premier League, but he was at Brighton as a Premier League club. But never managed to break through, right? Obviously he had that great spell at Coventry and then went on to Sporting, but that whole De Bruyne at Chelsea never really broke through. Went to Wolfsburg, was amazing, came back, lit the Premier League up. It's what Arsenal are hoping for now, I guess.
I think he has to hit the ground running. You know, like I was talking about this actually today with someone else. You know, when Liverpool signed Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen, I think Wirtz, despite the money that Liverpool have paid, he doesn't have to play like the best player in the Premier League this season. I think he's got like a few years on his side and then becoming an amazing player, a bit like Eden Hazard when he first came to Chelsea.
Because of his age.
Yes. Whereas with Gyokeres, not only because of his age, but because of the environment that he's also in as well, he has to hit the ground running.
The truth is, in modern day football, at 27 years of age, he's coming in, right? So he's got 4 years at the top as a tippy top striker to really prove himself. Now, if he is a success, do Arsenal win the league?
If they play as well as they have done for the last 3 years with everyone else apart from the strike, basically the defensive midfield, if they perform as they have done for the last few years with a performing striker, then there's every chance they could win. Yeah.
Also, more bad news for Brentford with their captain Christian Norgard set to move to Arsenal as well over the next few days. £15 million deal. Also, rumours about Noni Madueke. I think the two clubs, Arsenal and Chelsea, haven't quite agreed, but Madueke is ready to go to Arsenal. They really are. Like, if they get all those over the line, that's quite a scary team, isn't it?
They'll be serious challengers for sure. Yeah.
I'm actually fuming that Madueke could be leaving. To be honest, I'm fuming because I think that he is a good player, and I think if we let him go, like all these players we've signed, we didn't need them. I don't think. I think Madueke was a.
Do we think? I mean, I really do like Madueke. I think he had that sort of 4-month spell at the start of last season where he was unplayable for a while. Do we think if he plays in a team that's built around him, not built around him, but built around his style, in the same way, like you look at Saka and you look at Madueke, very similar players, right? In a lot of ways. I think Madueke likes to pass more rather than dribble and take on at times. But the sort of playing to that, do you think he potentially could be more successful at Arsenal than Chelsea? If that makes sense.
I get what you mean because he plays the same side as
He's a right winger.
He plays the same side as Saka, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like again, why would you go? Why would you go when you're not going to get in over Saka? I don't think.
But do you think he's looking at the transfer that Arsenal are making and going, I want to be part of that? Because to me, that's what it screams. But yeah, Arsenal making some big deals. Norgard in particular, I think, is going to go under the radar. A really classy type of player. And that midfield now, Arsenal, Zubimendi, Norgard, Odegaard, Declan Rice, just as a 4, that's 4 of the best centre midfielders in the Prem. As in four of the top 15 centre midfielders in the Prem at least. So it's scary, to be honest.
No pressure on Gyokeres then.
Well, Gyokeres will definitely have plenty of service in this Arsenal team, that's for sure.
He's still got to produce, though.
Yes, that's it.
We'll see.
I do think, though, personally, that if Arsenal can pull it together, I would even go as far as to say I think that the title race this year could be between Liverpool and Arsenal. If they put it together, I don't think Man City. The reason I say it is because losing Kevin De Bruyne is huge. Like that is a massive player to lose, and probably been the biggest reason why Guardiola's been so successful over the last 4, maybe 5 seasons in the Premier League.
I get your point. I think City will come back strong this year, but we can go into our Premier League predictions on another. We still got the summer, guys. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. we're not enjoying the Club World Cup. Shall we quickly mention and go through the women's Euros? I've seen bits. I don't know if you guys have seen a whole lot of it. We've had sort of opening games. England losing to France, I believe. Got that right? Is sort of the big one. I think a lot of people have sort of because this is England and English football, and the press going, oh my God, they're failing. They're absolutely awful because they've lost to France. France are one of the best teams in the tournament. Let's not forget this.
Yeah, they deserve to win that game. To be fair,
and yeah. I don't think it was I don't think France completely dominated, but they were the better team. But England put in an okay performance. They just weren't quite at that level. And it's the opening game of the tournament. It's a group game. It's like, just calm down, everyone.
Also,
do you know what I mean?
And also, it's a group of death when you think about it.
The Netherlands are a pretty good side as well, and they play tomorrow, I think, or Wednesday, I think it is.
The former champions Netherlands as well.
Yeah, they won the 2017 tournament actually under the current England manager. So yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see how they get on that one. I'll say this because I said this to someone the other day when I was talking about this tournament. I can't see England winning this Euros.
No.
And the reason I say that is nothing to do with the quality of the team, and I do hope, obviously, they will. But retaining a European Championship title like that is so hard to do.
4 years down the line,
so hard to do.
Yeah.
So it will be. I'll go as far as saying as monumental as that win was in 2022, and it was on home soil and changed women's football in England. I understand all of that, but retaining it is probably harder, I think. So be interesting to see how they get on. Definitely get watching the women's Euros. there was another transfer I wanted to talk about. We mentioned it slightly off camera. Jhon Duran has returned to Europe to take on the challenge of being Fenerbahce's leading man. I just don't get it. I just don't.
What don't you get? What don't you get?
Imagine, right, saying even a year ago, right, in the pre-season last year, all the Villa fans are going, there's definitely a player in Jhon Duran, but we'll see if he comes out, because he hadn't even really hit like any form at that point.
Chelsea
and then he had
after him.
Yeah,
Arsenal as well?
West Ham it was. There was big rumors about West Ham. But you could see the player in him in that first 6 months that he was at the club, but you couldn't predict what was going to happen at the start of last season, where he really did become a top Premier League striker, was doing incredible things. That goal against Everton was probably Villa's best Premier League goal in a long time, and he was a goal scorer. And I get that he's gone for a big money move to Saudi Arabia, but like, do you take aside the business part? I get the money, I get for the family, and I've said before in this podcast about a footballer's career is short. You've got to take the paydays. I understand all that, but do you think he's sitting in Turkey going, "I wonder if I made the wrong call"? Do you know what I mean?
No,
I don't quite know still what it is. Are you criticizing him for making a decision to go to Saudi Arabia and then leave a year later?
No, no.
What about leaving
not
in general?
criticizing, but I'm saying, is Fenerbahce not a step down from where he was?
What from
in terms of quality? The Turkish league is a much higher standard and visibility than the bloody Saudi league.
The Saudi league, yeah. I'm on about being a goal scorer in the Premier League week in, week out, in the Champions League, scoring against Bayern Munich. Is this not all like you said 10 months down the line? That's a massive step down.
For the big payday, didn't he?
And who would buy him back though? Who would buy him back? That's the thing. It's like it's his.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying. I understood the move, but at the same time, from a footballer's point of view, which take the business out of it, which I rarely do, I get that, but take the business out of it. From a footballer's point of view, he's gone from a top 8 team in the Premier League who were trying to win stuff, etc. And clearly there was potential to be at a Man City or something like that. The trajectory he was on, right, as a very young player.
Yeah.
And he's gone to Saudi Arabia, took the money, and he's on this now. And we're going to be talking, right, about the next Dele Alli, for example, who everyone expected amazing things from, and it didn't happen for one reason or another. I can't see a world in which Jhon Duran is one of the best strikers in world football going forward. He's playing for Fenerbahce. I'm sorry, he's playing for Fenerbahce. There's 2 teams in the Turkish league.
Did you really think Jhon Duran was going to be the next?
Yeah,
Ronaldo
genuinely.
Or Messi or something?
Not Ronaldo or Messi.
Give the man a break.
Not Ronaldo or Messi. No. But
I do agree with what you're saying there, Carl, about being a top striker when he was playing at Villa. Like, I mean, it's like that goal he scored against Everton. No, was it Everton? Yeah, and he just like smashed it into the top corner. It's probably one of the best goal. I think probably best goal last season. I would say. I'd go as far as to say that. It was
you forget that he's still only 21, is what I'm saying. His 21. Trajectory and potential was so high. And I don't see how he lives up to a potential playing in Turkey, where you've got 2 big games a season.
But what you've got to think of is this. This is how I'm trying to think of it now. He got the offer from Al Nassr to go over there. He had a chance to play with a player that he admired all throughout his childhood. Yeah. To an insane amount of money, that means that his family's going to be set for life.
Yeah.
Okay. He's done that now. He's done it for 6 months. He's earned the money. Right. Now, what I want to do is I want to get back into Europe. Now, the problem he had was that who wanted him? Yeah. Now, it's the same as, you could argue, Kyle Walker. Did he have many offers? Did many people want to actually come for him? And maybe Fenerbahce was that club. And he's like, right, what I'm going to do is play for Fenerbahce, play for them for, maybe a year and a half. In his head, he's thinking, show European football what I'm worth. And then, again, there'll be someone like PSG. there could
maybe.
Yeah, and he'll have European football. I think
take out on
Fenerbahce are in the Europa League as well, aren't they? So he'll have European football as well, and be managed by Mourinho.
I guess what I'm saying is, I think when he went to Saudi Arabia, he was always had this plan. He'd be there for a year. I get that, right?
Yeah.
And I think he probably thought, in a year's time, one of the bigger teams will come in for me, or a decent team in Europe will come in for me, a Spanish team, or
and it hasn't happened.
And it hasn't happened, and that's what I think. Is I'm saying that's what I think he'll be regretting, that it just hasn't worked out from the way he thought. Definitely can still turn it around, and look, he may go in. The truth is, if he's going to go and join a tippy top team in 12 months' time,
Birmingham City, when they're in the Premier League,
right?
Really
I was making a serious point here, and he's just kind of ruined it. Right? If he's going to go and join,
Kyle, if you squint your eyes, it kind of looks like Matt's wearing a Birmingham shirt.
The truth is, any fans of anyone wearing blues just has big defects in their brain, so it's fine. Anyway, yeah. No, my point I'm making is, he might do really well this season, but the truth is, for him to go to a tippy top club in 12 months or 18 months time, he needs to be getting 30 goals a season in that league.
Yeah.
And I think he underestimated how he'd get on in Saudi Arabia, because that's the same. He should have been banging in 25, 30 goals in Saudi Arabia, and he didn't.
He just didn't like it. I say he just didn't like it over there. Sure, didn't Jordan Henderson do the same thing? He went there and he went,
again, Jordan Henderson did not go there because he believed in the project, as he said, did he? He went there for the money, and then a year later,
I bet if pressed in an interview, Jhon Duran would come out with the same rubbish.
Oh, Jhon. To be fair,
of course he would.
Credit to Jhon Duran, he is the type of player, by the sounds of it, that would just go, "Yeah, I went for the money. It's fine. I don't care."
I think there's a template online somewhere. I'll have to try and find it, but I reckon there's a template online somewhere that clubs use. And what they do is they go, right, when you sign for the club, we need you to say this. And it says, I've always wanted to play for this club ever since I was a little boy.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's what they do with them.
Like Nicholas Anelka used to say, and it's like, you're a journeyman. Like you obviously do not know.
They actually do that with clubs. Clubs will do that with players. Clubs will do that with foreign players. For like interviews, I read Suarez's biography or autobiography a while back. It wasn't great, but he mentioned how like when foreign players come into the Premier League, the way the foreign player interviews after matches always sound kind of similarish. They just give them kind of stock phrases in English to say 3 or 4 of these in a row and then say thanks, and then you're out of there. Like,
can I just say there, David? I admire your reading books about great players. Thank you.
I mean, what I do like about it is, particularly the Saudi team and Al Nassr, rather than, because they know no one's believing that Jhon Duran has always dreamt of playing for Al Nassr, so they've just gone with, we've got Ronaldo. Should we say you dreamt of playing with him instead? That he was your idol, and we'll just go with that one. That's the new one now, isn't it, in Saudi Arabia? So that works. A couple of other transfers. Let's go through. Tottenham have had a £45 million bid for £50 million bid for Mohamed Kudus rejected. That's an interesting move. I think there's a real player there, and this is clearly Thomas Frank. This is a Frank transfer, which is good, but that was I don't know, took me by surprise. Anyone else?
55 million, you said?
50.
Wow.
And that crossing that West Ham Tottenham divide as well, by the way.
Yeah. If he does that,
it's not quite Sol Campbell.
No,
but it's
no. I don't think. I actually think in the world of football today, we will never see a transfer like that now, because there's too much it's too transparent.
I think that's right, and it could be the perfect move. Like financially, like the area, everything, the manager, the style, but the pure, just the fan backlash is the only thing that will stop him from doing it. Like,
I mean, what was the last one?
Be perfect. Like,
sorry, what was the last one? Tevez
maybe, or
I can't think of one really.
One more recent than that.
Probably Carlos Tevez. I remember William Gallas done it, but that was more of a swap with Ashley Cole, so that weren't. We got there.
Yeah, that was before Tevez anyway.
Maybe Rice from West Ham to Arsenal.
No, I don't count. That's surely.
No, I don't think that was
100 million they got for him. That sorted him out, didn't it? Sort of thing. That did.
West Ham fans weren't happy though.
No, he ended on high as well. So.
Yeah. I don't know. There's not many.
I'd go with Tevez, I think.
Well, that just goes to show they just don't happen anymore.
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest defender Oliena has signed a new 3-year deal. A lot of rumours about him this summer, but he's staying. That's almost a transfer for them, really, isn't it? To get to keep him. And there was one more I wanted to mention. No, sorry, 2 more things I wanted to mention. Not really transfers, but kind of transfers. And it's to do with Forest. Have you seen that Edu has joined on at Forest? Sporting director, used to be a sporting director at Arsenal. That could be massive news.
That is
it head of world of something, isn't it? Like, but
global head of football. Or something.
Yeah, that's the one.
Well done, Nottingham Forest. Because at Arsenal, he done a really good job, I thought.
Yeah, those 2 years he had at Arsenal between 2022 and 2024. You got to think of the players that have come through and been signed, that have been big. Like we're talking Saliba and all of those that have actually really been successful at Arsenal without that massive success yet. So I think that's a very good move for Forest, and you could definitely see that next progression for them. The other one I wanted to mention is Championship. Ex-Sheffield United boss Chris Wilder has been interviewed for the Leicester job. That's I don't know. That seems quite right to me.
Rude got let go ages ago, didn't he? Yeah.
Because they didn't win the playoffs basically, and then obviously but was it? I saw something about that. Was it Gary O'Neill's definitely been rumoured like for the Leicester job?
Yeah. Oh, I tell you what, Gary O'Neill would be a superb appointment for Leicester. A superb appointment. I mean, it's a shame that Leicester, decided to wait until the season was nearly here to sack Van Nistelrooy, but hey ho.
Didn't he want to leave though?
Oh yeah, but they had to wait until a certain date, I think, because of financial issues or something like that. The joys of modern football. Quick shout out, by the way, as well for the really, really awful injury for Jamal Musiala at the Club World Cup. He is looking at probably the best part of 2 years out.
I haven't seen it. I don't want to. Is it one of those horrible leg snaps?
It's an Eduardo. It's a Jebel Cisse.
It's a leg breaker.
Do you remember? It was a few years back. It was Everton versus West Brom, and James McCarthy was running back and Rondon.
Yeah. It was Solomon Rondon who ran
they collided. And and me and my mate were sitting there, and all you see in the camera is his leg do that, and we were like, "Oh no!" Like,
and then the camera just pans away, and Rondon is in tears. He's like, "I've just ended this lad's career potentially." Like,
but the thing I'm a bit annoyed at, and of all players for it to come from was Neuer, is Donnarumma done that. Like, he meant that. And I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, no
they
way.
do not mean to hurt them.
It's a complete freak accident. And look, Donnarumma was more distraught than anyone, if I'm honest. You could see how upset he was. And it's really awful because he's at 22 years of age and he was just becoming a player that's going to be one of the very, very best in world football in his position. And look, it's the type of injury that really derails a career. We hope he comes back strong. We hope he'll still be that player, but I'm not sure. It does also bring up the same question we spoke about recently on this podcast about the Club World Cup. Too many games, too many needless games. This guy's lost 2 years of his career.
We are at least in the top 4 best teams in the world.
Don't try that. You care about the Club World Cup now because you're in the semi-finals. I see.
I do.
He does until he's going to lose to, I don't know, someone from Egypt or Fluminense again.
Yeah.
Let's leave it there, shall we? Thank you guys for watching, and we will be back next week with more nonsense, fun, a lot of crap. It's what we're known for. Thank you very much for watching, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you later.